Partnered by Times Influence.
A question that looms more urgently every passing day. What is the future of our planet? With each passing year, alarming rise in temperature, rising sea levels, climate change that's costing us our priceless resources. What can we do to make this better?
Hello and welcome to a brand new season of Future Perfect, a series in which we give you an insight into technologies that boost progress and prompt growth without compromising the fabric of our existence. I'm Miloni Bhatt. Join me on a journey that takes a look at innovations that are making our lives easier.
In the next half hour, a look at technology that's making our vehicles more efficient and cleaner. Reduce your fuel costs and enjoy a cleaner drive with these electric vehicles. Solutions to safeguard air quality inside your homes.
Climate change is real and it's affecting us, all of us, right here, right now. And that is why 148 countries have come together under the United Nations to form an agreement to save our planet.
The Paris Agreement charts a new course in a global effort to combat climate change.
According to the World Resources Institute, India is the fourth largest emitter of greenhouse gases in the world. While most of these are spewed by the agriculture and energy sectors, inefficient transportation too is a contributor.
Hero MotoCorp has already factored in some of the changes. Its latest two-wheelers are being designed to comply with the current Bharat stage norms. How important is it for the two-wheeler industry to be in sync when it comes to vehicular pollution norms?
Environmental consciousness is not just for an industry that I represent, but it is for the entire country. All the stakeholders, whether I am someone who drives a vehicle, even if I am not driving a vehicle, or someone who manufactures a vehicle, for each one of us it's really important that we are focused on environment. If I come back to an industry that I represent, automotive industry has been quite focused on ensuring that the environment is taken care. So whether it is pollution from the vehicles or using some of the equipment or some of the metals or etc. in the vehicles as such. So companies have been focusing on that. There have been huge concerns about the environment. We all read in newspapers, we see, we smell that the quality of air is really going bad. And it's really nice that people are taking action on this. Coming back to Hero as such, we have been using a lot of stuff and we have been focusing on ensuring that our vehicles pollute as less as possible. So it starts from ensuring that the technology that we use in our vehicles is such that the emission levels are very low. In addition, we also have something called an I3S, which ensures that when the vehicle is in idle state, there are very less emissions. So that's how we have been working on this. Okay. Very recently, the government said that we moved from something called BS3 to BS4. We at Hero also went ahead with that. We changed technology in some of our vehicles and ensured something called CATCON, which is catalytic converter, in each of these vehicles so that the emission levels go down significantly. See, the biggest thing in automotive industry is that it's a huge chain, a value chain which ranges from tier 3 to tier 2 to tier 1 to OEMs. And this is one industry which has a huge supply chain. When we come to catalytic converters, we work very closely with our partners to ensure that all the regulations are met.
We are aware about the challenges being faced by the OEMs in preparation of BS6, and we are continuously developing technologies and solutions to support OEMs in this direction. We have very matured solutions and technologies for BS6, and we are working with leading OEMs in Europe to develop those technologies. We as BASF are the inventors of three-way catalyst, and these three-way catalyst, or TWC what we call it, can reduce carbon monoxides, NOx and hydrocarbons by almost 90% in a light-duty gasoline engines like used in cars. As we see that BS6 is pretty much near to the Euro 6 requirements, we see that we can actually learn and leverage the experience and knowledge we have in Europe with Euro 6 and bring it back to India and modify it further for Indian requirements and conditions.
Our resources are rapidly depleting. Fossil fuels no longer remain the answer to drive our growth, power our cities or run our vehicles. And so the inevitable push towards electric mobility. But is it catching on?
We have a very clear agenda. We have to make our vehicles and fuels clean, and knowing that they are responsible for very high health impacts. Now, the technology roadmap, therefore, and this is where we need to get more futuristic. So right now we know that we are breaking that first barrier of reaching the Euro 6 by 2020. But it's time to think through that what the roadmap is going to be like beyond 2020, beyond Euro 6. We also need to see a paradigm shift in technology now. We have to go beyond the IC engine. And therefore, electric mobility is opening up a very important opportunity for us. Already government is setting targets, saying that by 2030 perhaps they want to see a huge scale in electric mobility. Perhaps they would want to see all cars as electric cars, the new cars. Now, it's a good milestone to set, but that also means that from that milestone, we need to work backwards to plan that how are we going to deploy that? What segments of vehicles do we target on a priority basis? And preferably, we should be able to target the public transport segments, the feeder buses, bus system, paratransit like auto rickshaws, two-wheelers, as well as taxis, to move quickly to electric mobility.
To gauge the thought of an early adopter, we meet Ravi Iyer from Mumbai to understand what it's like to own an electric car.
So I'm usually an early adapter for a lot of technology. I was very keen on this car for various reasons, that it's an electric car. And what you get out of an electric car is something completely different. And unlike petrol, where you have an exhaust, there is zero combustion, there is zero engine carbon coming out. So your CO2 emission is down to absolutely zero. The best part is, with the zero emission, I have actually driven this car in water, in the rains in Bombay. And this car doesn't stall, because once you start the car, it doesn't stop. I think the future of urban mobility is electric cars. One, why would you use fossil-based cars? Why should you use fossil-based cars? Diesel and petrol are not an option for the future. You're saving up a lot on emissions. It's much more convenient. I mean, very honestly, if you were to do a price comparison as well, and a car like this is very easy to park, it's very easy to move around in a city, and especially for city dwellers, like you charge the car, I could possibly drive it for 3 days without thinking about going in anywhere. You save up your time in a petrol pump, you don't need to stand in a queue. I think all of us need to move on to technology that is relevant to today. I think we are a little late in adopting this technology. I think it's present day technology. It is not even future technology. In any city, it's the easiest thing to do, it's the simplest thing to do. I can't see why we aren't taking it. We need to take it on and embrace it with an open mind.
After Reva's successful debut in India's electric mobility space, we look at Ather Energy, that is set to bring India's first smart electric scooter to the roads.
Ather is a Greek word, stands for the purest form of air. So we've always fancied ourselves as the purest form of energy. That outright tells you that we see ourselves as an energy company in the long run. If we can build a very well integrated product, right, that people would absolutely love as a product, then they would end up buying the electric vehicle. So we said we'll build a great performance, great top speed. This will out-accelerate a typical petrol scooter. This will charge faster than your mobile phone. You would never need to worry about replacing the battery. It will last throughout your ownership cycle. It will do 20 times more power, 3 times higher top speed. It'll be 100% electric.
A common factor in these electric vehicles is a strong lithium-ion battery.
In a battery, typically you would have 3 key components. The first one would be the cathode, the second one would be the anode, and the third one would be the electrolyte. BASF contributes mostly through the manufacturing of cathode material. Cathode is really at the heart of the battery in several respects. One of the key aspects is the quantity of energy that you can store, and we measure it by energy density. The second one is the chargeability and charging time of the battery, and the third one is the safety. In lithium-ion battery, you have a set of metal, and this metal affect the performance of those battery. So you can use cobalt, nickel or manganese. Cobalt was the first metal to be used in lithium-ion battery, but has a drawback to be relatively expensive. That may disqualify the use of electric vehicle against standard combustion engine. So this has been addressed by replacing cobalt by other metals such as nickels, which are less expensive and offer also a very high energy density. But at the same time, nickel has a drawback to release oxygen at relatively low temperatures that may cause a concern in terms of safety. So what you see very clearly is that BASF is working in the design of the cathode material to really reach an optimum across all these properties. So basically storage capacity, charging speed, and also safety. And that's what the work of BASF has been all about over the past years for the lithium-ion battery. Having said that, that's only one part of the story. It's not only about designing new product on new cathode material, but this is also about establishing the proper manufacturing footprint and also securing the feedstock availability, namely the metal feedstock, in order to ensure that those batteries can be produced on the long run in a competitive manner.
Well, I think fundamentally we need to address 2 issues. That's energy security and climate change. To get renewable energy into transportation, the only way is through electric vehicles on this area, right? So if you think of India, by 2030, we're going to have around maybe 320 million vehicles. This is 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers, buses. We're going to need around 280 gigawatts of renewable energy. Now, India's targeting 300 gigawatts renewable energy. To put that in perspective, it's 0.5% of Rajasthan covered by solar panels on this area, right? Very doable. So you can imagine that by 2030, we could be a country that's powered by renewable energy, where all our surface transportation gets clean energy. And now electric vehicles become an essential part of it. So it's important that we link the pollution side to the energy side. And in one way, we actually solve both problems. As a country, we become self-sustaining. We don't import 80% of the oil that we need anymore. And 2, we become something that's lower cost to produce for consumers and provides clean surface transportation.
Coming up next, how climate change is changing lives.
Welcome back to Future Perfect 2.0. After a ghastly smog covered the skies of the Delhi NCR region, it became evident that this dark problem needed a solution.
An NGO in the heart of Noida found the answer in these air-purifying oxygen bomb plants that improve the quality of air inside homes.
Everybody should also, in addition to all those who can afford air purifiers, they can also go for indoor plants. which emit oxygen during 24 hours, and inside your households. So that will firstly change the quality of air inside, and also you will not, due course of time, you will not require to use air purifiers, and also your electricity bill is going to come down drastically. And these plants, they require little care. They are quite hardy varieties. These plants, why they are called oxygen bombs, they are very effective to convert bad quality of air into good quality. That means they absorb formaldehyde, they absorb carbon dioxide, they absorb carbon monoxide, they absorb H2S, all these gases which are there inside, so they absorb them and they convert them into oxygen. So I will sort of make a humble appeal to all the citizens of the country that we should depend more on the Mother Nature, because the Mother Nature has given us this atmosphere. We are the people who have polluted it. We are the people who can change it.
Plants are a small and inexpensive way of reducing the pollution inside our homes. Another method, choose the right kind of paint.
We know that there are different sources of pollution indoor. One, of course, the outdoor pollution that comes inside your houses, and also your own furnishing, the painting that you're using, the carpeting that you're using, they themselves are responsible for a different kind of volatile organic compounds. So now it's time very seriously, because for a long time we have ignored and neglected the indoor air quality. Even though Central Pollution Control Board has come up with some guidelines for indoor air quality, but there is no implementation strategy for that. WHO has already given very clear guidelines about how the indoor air quality should be. Now the time has come to ensure that we do put strategies in place and also sensitize people about meeting the indoor air quality standards.
Aiming to improve indoor air quality, Asian Paints devised an odorless paint technology using BASF's acronol as the raw material.
Royal Espira was our first attempt to make a low VOC product, and it's low odor product also. And in these things, you will find that it has got, when I say low odor in Espira, it's mostly free from ammonia smells and maybe typical acrylic smell free. Technologically, we always say, can we create a conducive micro environment within the ambit of polluted macro environment? So I think that's the basic motivation for working on these products. And I think in this journey, we have worked with several partners. It's not only our own innovation, we have partnered with several raw material suppliers, and BASF is one of the partners in this our innovation journey.
Normally when you look at a paint, there are certain basic functional needs which a paint is expected to do. Like you have the scrubs, you have the rheology, which helps you to have the right coverage area there. So the question is, what we are basically bringing with our Acronol Eco range is the low VOC, where we are able to achieve through our special technology, as I mentioned there, whereby we strip the unreacted monomers there. This helps to get this additional features in addition to the basic fundamental properties which is expected out of a paint there. Now, we measure in our lab every batch, the unreacted monomers content is measured there, and when we supply to our paint customers, we ensure that the low ppm levels of the unreacted monomers are maintained in the acronols to enable the paint companies to formulate a paint with a low VOC or no smell. The future technologies that we are working on is, one is how do the paint help the paint companies to enable formulate paint with a low biocide content there. Through the dispersion technology, where we can supply them a dispersion which will enable them to formulate paints with a low biocide content. So that's one of the pain points, and at least there for the paint companies. We are also working on the antibacterial and the anti-formaldehyde dispersions, which will help them to formulate a paint with these sort of functional needs there.
How do we address climate change through innovation?
A simple logical way to address climate change is to say that we should just dramatically and drastically reduce consumption as human beings, which is unrealistic and not possible given that we have increasing population on this earth and the aspirations of the people for better quality of life, whether it is owning a car or owning a nice house, is increasing. So it is unrealistic to expect that consumption will go down. And that's where innovation is going to play an extremely important role, because with innovation, particularly innovation in chemistry and chemical technology, we can come up with solutions which can provide us the comfortable living that we all aspire for and yet reduce the greenhouse gas emission.
Nature is generous. She gives, heals, and nurtures. Let's reciprocate. That's it on this episode of Future Perfect 2.0. From me and the entire team, goodbye and thanks for watching.
Next week on Future Perfect, solutions to optimize our energy usage.
Partnered by Times Influence.